I do want to talk about the refs because like there is a lot to talk about here. And it's really interesting because like Jim Irsay might be I feel like he's
Went from crucifying him to he's my savior, baby. Come save us, Jim Irsay.
I feel like Jim Irsay, now that Dan Snyder is like out, you know, and he's off doing whatever the hell he's doing that I'll never care about him ever again. I think it's really interesting that Jim Irsay just can get on Twitter and just be like, I'm just gonna like blow the league up. Why not? And just like send a tweet. Because if you're not aware of what's going on, Jim Irsay last night sent out a tweet. And the first half is completely and totally normal, whatever. He talks about Anthony Richardson and how it was a successful surgery. Like, and that's really, really great. That's wonderful. And then there's a second part to his tweet, which is like a full paragraph. And if you just like look at it, it's not like that big of a deal. Like in terms of just like, oh yeah, because you talked about the Colts getting screwed because they were screwed against the Browns. It was really bad calls. But he says the NFL admits and understands that they did not make the correct calls at the end of Sunday's Colts-Browns game. I believe we need to institute instant replay for all calls, including penalties in the last 2 minutes of all games.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, you want to explain why this is a problem? Like, for the league?
Yes. First of all, I would like Jim Irsay to give me credit when he steals my ideas. That's the first thing. I said this, I believe it was after the the first Kareem Jackson hit, the one that was on Jacoby Myers. The Broncos got flagged there. And when you look at the replay, it was just more of like an unfortunate thing that happened because Jacoby Myers kind of slid down into this tackle. And so like any sort of, if it's like a roughing the passer, any of those penalties, I was like, in the last I said the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, those plays should be reviewed because they can have significant outcomes on the game. So everybody knows I said it first. Second thing, I'm a little credit whore. I am a credit whore. This is an issue because if the NFL calls the owner of a team or a GM or whoever, if the NFL calls to say, look, we reviewed the calls that were made, the officiating crew, and we believe we made a mistake there, that happens. That happens from time to time throughout the season.
Damn.
If they call you and tell you they messed up, the unwritten rule, like the mafia, is you do not publicly say that the NFL admitted that they made a mistake.
Yes.
It's like, in the mafia, you don't sleep with the other mafia's wives. You don't snitch. And back in the day, you don't sell drugs.
You don't sleep with the other mafia's wives. What?
Those are the rules.
What is that sentence, Brandon?
You don't sleep with other mafia men. You don't sleep with made guys' wives. You don't sleep with made guys' wives.
Did you watch like a Scorsese film recently? Is this what?
No, I'm watching Gotti, okay? I'm watching the Gotti documentary. And Ian Rappaport on the NFL Network today said that something will happen to Jim Irsay because of this.
You don't have, that's rule number one.
Don't eat the gabagool. Hey, you stay away. You
That's
touch my gabagool, you get...
I'll have a side salad. Comes on top, I send it back. We were talking about the refs. So Irsay basically put out a tweet saying the NFL admitted to messing up. NFL team officials cannot talk about that kind of stuff.
No.
They're not allowed to. That's what Brad is making those mafia references. Now, it's interesting because it's not just an NFL team official.
It's the owner.
It's the owner of the team. And like Irsay has proven that he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go and like, I'm just gonna just tweet out stuff. So now it's like, okay, if they did admit it messing up, and Mitchell brought up a good point, right? Like okay, that's great. That's like saying, oh yeah, we messed up. Okay, what does that do for me now?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do to fix it? One. And then two, the fact that an owner tweeted this out, what is the punishment going to be? Because the NFL, like, they could be a little crapolas right now, and they could be like, hey, like maybe we'll go after draft picks.
Yeah.
Like they could be that organization.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how they're going to punish an owner, which I think would only make Jim Irsay tweet more.
Yeah. As Tree would say, it's the wheel of punishment, right? You just spin it and they land on some random punishment for him. The problem is, though, the NFL has made 0 attempts to actually improve officiating. They have all of these resources to make it better, to get calls right. And every offseason, they're like, no, how can we make it harder for Kareem Jackson to tackle guys during games? That's the problem. They focus on all this minutia instead of being like, let's just put our resources into having the best officiating outcomes in any sport. We have the money to do it. It would make the game better. I think they like people complaining about it, honestly. I think they like the controversy. It keeps people engaged.
Well, at points, though, right? Because, like, the end of the Super Bowl fell flat. By the way, you had to give Love a full season at least. But, like, you'll have the biggest game where it's such a spectacle, and then it ends on a holding call, and nobody's happy about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh, all right, well, that's deflating. Like, that's disappointing. Like, you haven't watched that Kelsey doc, right?
No.
So I think I told you, I watched it last week. And the way that they cut that Super Bowl together, it was a good Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. Like, it was a very competitive Super Bowl. But it was like, damn, like, this is so crazy. And then it ends on a penalty. And even in the documentary, when they're, like, making it look better, it still falls flat. And so I agree with you of, like, oh, maybe it's that controversy element. Like, maybe that's a little part of it. But one, until it drives people away to not watch anymore, nothing's going to happen. But two, it's like you said, and that's the most frustrating thing, it's fixable.
Yeah.
It is fixable. And, like, I want to know what you think about those, like, that last 2 minutes. I know you said the 5-minute thing. I think that might be a little much. But, like, 2 minutes, just, like, all calls that are not, I mean, like, a false start, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think if it's a subjective call that results in an automatic first down, should be reviewed. Roughing the passer, hard hits, the defensive pass interference, or defensive holding. Yeah, I saw that, and I disagree with Gene. I think his first instinct was correct.
So when I said it, so when I was like, yeah, no, like that's not a thing of having the both feet down. That's not a thing.
No, he didn't just make it up. He got told by the NFL to retract.
Oh,
I'm sure. His first instinct was correct. You guys still lost, so it's actually doesn't matter.